Welcome to All Chiefed Up's first live stream ever. We're gonna give this thing a go, see how it works for us. We haven't done it before, so I'm sure I'll butcher it up. I'm not good with this stuff. So, Mike, how's it going, bud?
It's going pretty good, man. The Chiefs had a lot of news over the last few days concerning top 30 visits. The Chiefs actually brought in Darnell Wright. He was spotted at the KC airport the other day. Tennessee offensive tackle. They actually brought in Cam Smith today, cornerback from South Carolina, Steve. Cam Smith, he's somebody that they don't know if he's going to be a first round pick, second round pick. He's all over the place. We've seen him in mock drafts everywhere. They also brought in Jarek Reed, a safety from New Mexico. Out of all three of those guys, Steve, for top 30s, who excites you the most?
Darnell Wright for sure. I mean, I think we need to go tackle. I'm not interested in cornerbacks at all. I don't know about you. After seeing last season or last draft, I don't really care much about cornerbacks right now. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not big on cornerbacks either. I think Darnell Wright's the most intriguing to me. Seeing what we're going to do with Jawan Taylor, either go left or right. We got Austin Marable. What's up, Austin? What's going on, man? Good to see you
Yeah,
here. We got Blue Eyed Devil 78.
Red
What's
Devil.
new? Not
Better not be a
much is
Duke Blue
new.
Devil. Don't
Not
be a
much is
Duke
new.
Blue Devil.
Right. Are you a Duke Blue Devil guy? Like, we're Kentucky guys, so there's like a bitter rivalry in the college basketball world. Even though Kentucky sucks as of late, we're on the fire Coach Cal bandwagon. But yeah, getting back to the top
Hmm.
30, Steve. Cam Smith's kind of intriguing. Why do you think the Chiefs want to bring in another cornerback? Like, we drafted like so many last year. It's crazy.
I mean, I think they need some depth at the position, but I don't think it should be a priority. I don't see them looking at corner in the first round again. I think the only reason they did it last year was just because they had such good value on McDuffie. They got to that 20, around the 20 mark. He was still on the board. I think Brett Veach and them were like, why is this dude still hanging out at 20? Let's go up and get him. I don't think they were like prioritizing cornerback early last year. I just think it fell into their laps. And I don't think they'll do it again this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that when they were sitting on the board and they had already traded up for McDuffie, they went out and grabbed Josh Williams. That was like just something amazing sitting there that they really liked. And then in the later rounds, they went ahead and they grabbed Watson. He proved to be good. And then also you see Najee Johnson actually get some good reps from special teams. Um,
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what's covering with the top 30 visits so far. That's the last few we've had. I think we're in agreement that Darnell Wright is the intriguing one. He's probably not going to be there when the Chiefs pick at 31. You wouldn't think unless something happens between now and then. A lot of teams could see him as more interior player or a right tackle only, and maybe he could start falling. But that is an intriguing pick for the Chiefs there at 31 if it was to happen, or possibly they love him so much they want to spend some draft capital and come up, make a big splash on draft night. Everybody's freaking out because we still haven't addressed the wide receiver position with Brett Veach. Steve, is Brett Veach going to address this or no? Like, I just don't think it's going to happen, and especially not going to be OBJ unless he comes down a lot in price. And Hopkins, the Cardinals are going to have to settle on a third or fourth round pick, possibly, maybe even a fifth if they want to get rid of him.
Right. Well, everybody knows our options here, but I think the most likely option is that we're not going to see anything until at least draft night. Even if he's going to make a trade, like for DeAndre Hopkins or something, I think it would be like a draft night trade. You heard last year they did go after AJ Brown. Obviously, he ended up going to the Eagles, but they did make an offer for AJ Brown on draft night. So that wouldn't surprise me if they tried to do something like that. Obviously, they want to probably make a little splash at the draft just because it's in Kansas City this year and stuff like that. So that could mean trade at the draft. It could mean trade up in the draft. There's lots of different things there. I don't think you're going to hear much about anything else other than maybe just filling some little holes here and there up until the draft. As far as wide receiver goes, don't be getting your hopes up too high, thinking a trade's coming or we're going to sign Odell Beckham. I just don't see that happening right now. I don't think Odell makes a whole lot of sense for us financially, unless they could get him for pretty cheap,
Right.
because he's a big risk, of course, with his knee injury and stuff like that. And Hopkins, I don't know what's going on with Arizona. I don't know if they're high or what. They think they're going to get a first round pick for this guy or some kind of crazy Christian McCaffrey type deal. Like, it's not happening. I think they have to be a little more realistic there.
Right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Again, this is our first ever live stream. We're giving it a go. We're probably going to screw this up a little bit. Who knows? But
Oh yeah,
hopefully we get a lot
for
better.
sure.
Let us know in the comments. Would you guys rather see DeAndre Hopkins? Would you rather see OBJ? If you could have either, would you rather see
Well,
neither
just
one?
wait.
Yeah, I know a lot
Just
of
wait for
Chiefs
the
Kingdom
draft.
don't want either of them. They really don't. But that brings us to the next point, Steve. If we were to address this with some sort of draft day trade, or Brett Veach goes out and grabs somebody else, we actually seen the name Brandon Aiyuk thrown around from San
Yeah.
Francisco. He does have a 5th round or a 5th year option on him. So he's technically under contract for probably 2 more years there in San Francisco. They do not have a 1st round or 2nd round pick this year. A lot of people are saying it's going to take a 1st, possibly a 2nd at the least to get Aiyuk from San Francisco. He had 78
Yeah.
receptions, 1,000 yards last year, 8 receiving touchdowns. Is that something that you would like maybe Brett Veach to look at, or at least look into, in your opinion?
I think you do your due diligence on it and you look at it and like, yeah, Brandon Ayuk in our offense, that would be cool. But a first round pick, I don't think so, man. That just seems a little too rich for me. And then it's kind of the same situation as DeAndre Hopkins. Like you have to figure out how to pay him once he's here, even after you trade for him. I don't see it being much different than the DeAndre Hopkins situation. Obviously, AX younger. A lot of people like him better. I think there's a higher upside, stuff like that. But I don't know, man. I just think if you have to give up a first or second rounder for somebody, and you still have to figure out how to pay these guys, I just don't see that happening, man. I think that Beach will probably hang around until the draft and see if he can't snake one of these guys.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that Veach is probably going to wait till the draft. But another intriguing name, because I'm not big on Brendan Aiyuk either. Another intriguing name people are throwing out there are the Colts wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr. They're saying that he is possibly part of this Colts team that is now going to draft a quarterback, possibly very early in the draft. They're just hired a new coach. They're going through a total rebuild. They may just cut ties with their wide receiver, Michael Pittman. Is that a guy? He does not have a 5th year option on him. So it's possible you could throw some at him. He had 99 receptions, 920 some odd yards, 4 touchdowns last year. Is Michael Pittman Jr. a guy that you think could flourish in a Chiefs offense? And what would you possibly give up for him?
Michael Pittman, another decent option. I don't think he's anything groundbreaking. I did like him coming out of college. I think he had a pretty good first year in Indianapolis. Yeah, he would be good in the Chiefs offense. I don't know, man. It's really kind of the same situation for me. If we're making a trade for one of these guys right now, I'm just kind of along the lines there. What's up, Jan, by the way?
Yeah,
Nice to see
Jan,
you
what's
here.
going on?
Her unpopular opinion is just not D-Hop. And you know what? That's not exactly completely unpopular. I think the Chiefs Kingdom's probably 50-50 on this. You have a lot of people that's really pressing for DeAndre Hopkins, and you have a lot of people that don't want anything to do with it. So I don't think it's super unpopular. But yeah,
Hey,
Michael
you know
Pittman
what I'm going
Jr.
to say about before you
What?
get on with Pittman? D Hop. The longer this thing's taking, Chief fans are starting to get really sour towards it because we see it
Yeah.
as if he wants to go and the Cardinals want to get rid of him, it's like come down on the asking price, get rid of him. It's like it's either crap or get off the toilet at this point. I think a lot of Chief fans are seeing that and it's getting tiring. The same with OBJ. I think we're all just content going to the draft and seeing what's up. But back to Michael Pittman. Sorry for interrupting you.
Well, what you said about D-Hop, I don't think it's really under his control. Yeah, he wants out of there probably. I know he doesn't like Kyler Murray. He wants to go to a team that can compete for a Super Bowl. But when it really boils down to it, the Cardinals have the keys in their hands here, and sounds like they're being a little stingy with him. So I just don't know about it. But like I was saying about Michael Pittman Jr., I think he's an excellent receiver. I think he could work well in our offense. But it's kind of the same thing as Brandon Ayuk and DeAndre Hopkins. It's what are we going to have to give up for this guy, and then how are we going to pay him? And right now, obviously, we don't have the Chris Jones restructure done. There's not a whole lot of money to play with here. There's still lots of holes on the roster that they need to fill. So I just don't see a trade coming. I could be completely wrong. A lot of times we are. Heck, we might make a video about it. Michael Pittman Jr. getting traded, and 10 minutes before the video goes live, he'll get traded to the Browns or something crazy. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't see a trade coming. I think Beach is going to wait for the draft and try to take one of these guys. I don't know if he's going to go early though, man. You think he's going to try to trade up early into this draft, make a little splash? I know a lot of people like Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, there's a few
Addison. There's
players.
there's some guys. Do you think he'd actually trade up for some of these?
I think it's a good possibility. We got a lot of draft capital. We want to make a big splash. Now, not at the risk of losing everything we got. Do they want to just make good entertainment because it's in Kansas City? But I do think Brett Veach has a lot of draft capital to work with. He's a wild card. You never know if he's going up, if he's going down. We have modeled a lot of what the Patriots do in the building of a dynasty. He's replicated it. He's signed his quarterback. He's getting receivers on the cheap. He's building on the cheap. He's building through the draft. So it's possible they like to trade down a lot out of the first round, acquire more picks. Brett Veach has got picks based on, the Tyreek Hill trade, other things. So he's accumulated picks in a way, but Brett Veach has shown he will come up if he needs to. He will go down if he needs to. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be draft. Jay Kelsey said, let's just roll to the draft. And with that being said, let's go ahead and roll on over to our mock draft, Steve. We're going to do a mock draft today with walkthemock.com. They have decided to team up with allchiefdup. So if you guys like to do mock drafts or anything, head over to walkthemock.com. They have a really cool layout. You're going to see it today. If you use code ACU, you will get 50% off your monthly subscription or yearly subscription. And to be honest, you can just draft for free too. They've got a lot of free options. So it's a pretty cool site. You'll see how it works right here. And we're going to jump into it, Steve. So he's got it fired up and ready to go.
I do actually. We're doing a vanilla drafts, what they call it, no trades. So we're gonna leave the trade options out for now because that's just so much to keep up with. So we're just gonna take all the picks and see what we get. We are using Walk the Mock standard, just default ranking. So that's what we're gonna go by here. I'm gonna go ahead and get this draft started, man, and we'll see what we have waiting for us at pick 31 for the Chiefs.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll just kind of watch the players how they go. It goes kind of quick, so we can't really stop and talk about each individual player. But, we will highlight some things. We see Paris Johnson come off the board. Jackson Smith and Jigba has come off the board. Basically, we can't control who anybody picks. That's what Brett Veach and them do in the draft. You can only control what you can pick and who's sitting there when you're there. So you have to do your due diligence on everybody in the draft, especially coming up and taking people like Trent McDuffie. You've seen I had him ranked number 2 on my board last year, Steve. Did I not? I said if there was one player I would take in the first round, it was to trade up and take McDuffie. And Brett Veach actually did that.
Yeah.
I pride myself in that one.
You said you didn't think they'd take a corner, which I didn't think they would either take a corner early, but that was what you said right afterwards, is if they take a corner in the first round, it's going to be a trade up for Trent McDuffie. So, I mean, you did call that one. Then you actually had in your mock draft for last year, your final mock draft, you had us taking George Karlaftis and Sky Moore in the first round, both of those last 2 picks. So close, dude. So close. I mean, excellent that you hit that. You also hit Josh Williams. But yeah, we're on the clock here, man. And I think they made it really easy for us because I see Broderick Jones hanging out right here.
Oh my God.
Offensive tackle.
If I were Brett Veach, I would break my neck trying to get to the podium to take Broderick Jones right here.
Just for fun, we'll look down through here and see what they got. They have Michael Mayer, tight end, Brian Brisset, defensive lineman. I do like him. I like Elijah Cansey, even though he's a little undersized. Dalton Kincaid would be huge to be on our roster in behind Travis Kelce.
What's up, Doug? What's up? Nice to have you here. Thanks for the compliment, man. Glad you watch us for sure. And thanks for the shout out. You guys hit that like button if you haven't yet. Let us know you're here. But yeah, Steve, what do you think? If he's just sitting here at number 31, we didn't trade up, this is the board, you have to take the tackle here, do you not? Or is it something where we're in a position where a lot of Chiefs Kingdom thinks we got to address that wide receiver position, and then you've got the guys that say, hey, we need defensive line too. I think it's kind of hard to pass up Broderick Jones with how he's rated.
I'm with you, man. I think if this came up and Broderick Jones was on the board at 31, I think Brett Veach trips over himself trying to get that card turned in. It makes sense to me. You guys let us know in the comments what you think here on this first pick. But if Broderick Jones is on the board, we have a tackle issue that we need to address, obviously. We did go get Jawan Taylor. If he's going to play right tackle, he's excellent right tackle. We know this. If he's going over to left tackle, it's a question mark. It's kind of like when we got OBJ at first. Like, we knew we were going to change him over to left tackle, but we didn't know how that was going to work out per se. They were paying him a lot of money. But if you get Broderick Jones right now in this draft, you can plug him at left tackle and see how that works. They're interchangeable. If Broderick Jones isn't working out, then you can put Jawan Taylor over on the left side. It leaves you a lot of options because we don't know who's going to start that right tackle position anyway. We've heard a lot about Lucas Niang. I'd love to see Kennard take this opportunity to get in there and get that because I think he can do it from what I saw of him in Kentucky. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm going Broderick Jones here. If you guys in the comments think I'm crazy for it, let me know. But I'm going to go ahead and make the selection. I'm
Yeah.
turning the card in.
Omar, what's up, man? Good to see you here. Mike Smith is in the chat. Hey, dude, what is up? Gary Petty, he says Jones for sure. Yeah, man, it's looking like Jones is the way to
Absolutely.
go. Gary also says that locks up our front line for a few years. He's 100% true. Doug
Right.
says that he believes that's a good pick, but he don't think he'll be there at 31.
I
We do
don't
not
either.
either. We don't either,
Yeah.
but this is the way the mocks fall, and you have to do it. Yeah, we also got a comment from Jay Kelsey. Love your show, boys, and have friends how live in Richmond and love to ride Black Mountain. Dude, you're from Virginia. Is that what you're saying? From Richmond, Virginia?
Richmond, Kentucky, I bet.
Oh, Richmond,
Mike.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Either way, that's kind of close to us, to be honest.
Right. We're in
Richmond,
the Louisville,
Kentucky,
Kentucky
man.
area, which is strange for people that we're such huge Chiefs fans, but it's in our blood.
Right.
And it's just how it is. It's been that way. Let's
Jan, it
see here,
doesn't
man.
seem like they have a lot of faith in Kennard. You know, Steve loved Kennard. He loved Kennard. He actually called
I
the
still
pick.
do.
He called the pick before it happened. The night before, we were analyzing who we had taken the night before. Yeah, I don't know what the Chiefs are going to do. I don't know if they're wanting to keep him at right tackle or if they're thinking he does need to move into guard. I hate to say it, but Trey Smith's coming up on a contract year, and if he takes some big money and Brett Veach can't do it, they may be looking that's a possible Trey Smith replacement if he were to leave during free agency. If that ever happens, I'm going to cry a little bit. I love Trey Smith here, but at the same time, you never know. I don't believe they've lost too much faith in Kennard. I just don't think they know what to do with him. I'm just going to say that. I don't think they know what to do with him at this
Well,
point.
I mean, Brett Veach said it himself last year in some kind of a press conference because they actually asked him about Darian Kennard, and he's like, look, we have all the faith in the world in Darian Kennard, and I think he's an excellent tackle. But when he was in Kentucky, they were a run-heavy offense, a run-first offense. So he hasn't got a whole lot of experience in the pass pro, and obviously that's all the Chiefs do. So I think they wanted to take it slow with him instead of just sticking him out there and letting him get absolutely destroyed in pass protection. What's up, Julia? Good to see you.
Yeah,
We love the
Julia, nice
channel
to
too.
see
We've
you.
been having
Nice to
fun.
see you.
It's good to see you guys. Scott Crosser's in the
Scott
house.
Crosser, let's freaking go. Let's go, Scott. Dude, we are on pick number 2, 31 in the second round. Steve,
Let's
who do
see
we
what
got
we
on the
got going.
board? I can't hardly see the board there. It's a little small for me because I have to
It's
look at a lot
okay.
of things.
I'll just go straight down what's available. Best player available: Steve
Okay.
Avila, inside offensive lineman from TCU. Zach Charbonnet, running backs available. Clark Phillips III, cornerback. Keanu Benton. That's somebody that the Chiefs have interviewed, and they
Yes.
are looking at a defensive tackle probably more than likely. Sam Laporta. A lot of people liking Sam Laporta at tight end. Man, a lot of people in our comments are big Iowa guys. I've noticed that they do like Laporta. Derek Hall still on the board. There's a little bit of everything, man. What
Okay,
do you
so
think? We
short,
took tackle first
right.
round. So what are we looking for? What's Brett Veach looking for?
So position, you either look to a wide receiver. He likes to go wide receiver in the second round. We've seen that countless times. We've seen it with McCole Hardman when they took him over DK Metcalf. You about had an aneurysm. And then we also had last year they took Sky
Worst
Moore.
move ever.
Everybody wanted George Pickens. We also had aneurysms over that one. George Pickens turned out to be a monster, did he not? We wouldn't even be talking about this right now. But we do love Sky Moore here. We think Sky Moore, you need something complimentary to him. But at the same time, I just don't see it on the board right here. So, in my opinion, you have to shore up that defensive line. I would look at somebody that we've looked at in interviews. I think Keanu Benton is a very good pick here in the middle of that defensive line. I also think, do we have any defensive ends on the board? Who's the highest defensive end you have on the board at this point?
Let me check out the edge rushers. Yeah, because we definitely we have interviewed
Derek Hall. So, okay, look,
That's
that's two
definitely
guys we've
happened.
interviewed. That's who I would look at this point. So, who's the highest wide receiver on the board? Let's do our due diligence there. Doug asks, actually, Doug just says wide receiver or D question mark. Yeah, that's the thought process here, Doug. I think it's wide receiver, DE, or somebody that can help the pass rush, and that's why Keanu Benton comes up.
Wide receivers, you're looking at Tyler Scott from Cincinnati. I've heard a lot of good things about this cat. Like I've not watched a whole lot of tape on him, and I saw where people were just raving about him. So I've been interested. I've been intrigued. I have not got to go digging deeper on that, but I have heard good things. Nathaniel Dell, we love Tank Dell. Tank Dell's got a couple issues. Tank Dell is old. He's not old, but he's 25 and a half. He's almost 26 years old coming out of college. That's not great for a team. And also, he is 165 pounds, but he does
Hey,
do everything well.
you know what's rich? Steve on here getting ready to turn 40 and calling a 25-year-old guy old. That's rich,
38,
guys.
40,
Okay.
40's so
Hey,
far. It's
I
not
hear
far
you.
away.
I know what you're trying to say. So I just don't think the receiver is a value right here. I think you got to go to the defensive line. Let's ask the chat. Chat, what do you think? Do you like the edge rusher from Auburn, Derek Hall, or Keanu Benton, the interior player that can team up with Chris Jones, Keanu Benton out of Wisconsin? Let us know in the chat, and we will go.
I myself,
What do you got, Steve? What do
um,
you want?
I like Andre Carter the second. I know a lot of people aren't as high on him as I am. Uh, but this guy's huge, dude. 6'7", 260, and they said he moves like a tight end. That would be such a Spagsy type pick. Kind of Carlos Dunlap-esque, I guess, with the size and everything, except for this guy's way more athletic. And you know how there were several games last year where you kept seeing George Karlaftis, Frank Clark drop back into coverage, and you would lose your mind. You're like, if I have to see George Karlaftis in
Right.
coverage one more freaking time, like I feel like if you had an Andre Carter out there, a guy that can move like a tight end, like you're not going to be as upset about that guy dropping into coverage.
Right.
Um,
Carter is a Spags guy. He's a little he's tall, but I do think he can get pushed around. Also coming from Army, you don't know how he's actually going to pan out in the NFL.
right.
Scott Crosser asks, are there any safeties available at this point, Steve? You want to bring up the
Check him
safeties
out.
for Scott, and then I'll go down this list. Scott also says that Brett Veach doesn't like older players. That is pretty much true. Julia
Yes.
says we should go edge. Jay Kelsey says defensive end. And Scott Crosser does say Benton here. It looks like more people are wanting to see Derek Hall at this point. You can look at the safeties if you would like.
Check out Julia here. She's saying, when do we start looking at? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
Oh, you're fine. Go
check out
ahead.
Julia. She's saying, check out the tight end. When do we start looking at tight end? Because I think that's something that we need to look at. I wanted last year, if you look at my draft stuff from last year, I was very high on taking Greg Dulcich, and I was very high on taking Trey McBride last year. But one thing I noticed last year when I went back and looked at my draft picks from last year and yours, Mike, it's like we were ahead by a year. Like
Yes.
everything that we need right now in this draft, we were trying to draft for last year. So I
Yeah.
just think we're a little out of sync last season. You, like I said earlier, you still nailed a lot of picks, but it seems like I don't know, Julie. That's a really good question. I think there's some good options in this draft. If you wanted to go high on that, the Dalton Kincaid is an absolute monster.
We
Um,
interviewed Dalton Kincaid, and he has been mocked us at 31. Do I think we would spend a first round pick on a tight end? I do
I
not.
don't.
I do
No,
not.
I don't.
But I would think second, but I would say more realistically, probably third rounds when I'd start thinking Veach could look to a tight end. That would be when I would think. I just think first and
Right.
second round, too many needs. The value's just not there. Um, Doug says executive decision, gentlemen. So,
Picking it
Steve, do you want to
ourselves.
call it? You call it. Who are you
I'm
taking right
going with.
here?
I'm gonna go with Scott Crosser. I'm gonna go for that defensive line, and I'm gonna get Keanu Benton from
Okay,
Wisconsin. Are you cool
we
with that? I mean, I think
we can live with
that's
it.
where my head's at.
We can live with it.
You
I
can live with
think
it.
that
Well, my thing is, I've been wanting. I'm taking the pick, by the way. Pick is in, but I've been wanting to get Chris Jones some help on the inside since before last season started.
so.
Obviously,
Not to
I don't
cut you
know.
off, but on Twitter yesterday, there was some crazy tweets about Chris Jones not getting what he wanted, and we're going to trade Chris Jones, blah, blah, blah. If that happens, the Chiefs are going to be in trouble because Chris Jones is, besides Patrick Mahomes, he's arguably the best player on this team.
Yeah,
We cannot lose Chris Jones. This guy has to be a lifer. You could offer me 3 first round picks for Chris Jones. I don't know if I'd take it. Let's be honest. So we've got Benton on the board. We're in the third round here, Steve. Let's go ahead and look at edge rushers, wide receivers, and safeties. If you want to click those at the top and you can filter those positions, that is a feature of Walk the Mock. Again, if you guys like to do mock drafts, walkthemock.com. Use code ACU. You'll get 50% off your first year, your first month, or you can just draft for free. That's pretty cool too. I love it. I think it looks cool. It has the
yeah.
best
Walkamock's
overall
cool. It's very cool.
aesthetic. Yeah, it looks really good. So Scott says this is a great tight end class, by the way, but I like Bushman and Blanton. Both are big and athletic. Yeah, we've signed a few of these guys to futures deals. I don't know. I don't know if the Chiefs are going to actually I mean, we've got Noah Gray. Like, we like
But I
Noah
was getting
Gray.
ready to say,
Noah Gray's done
a lot of
stuff for the
people
podcast. A lot of people don't like Noah Gray, though. I get it, but
sleeping on Noah Gray is what it is. I don't know if you noticed this last year, but he made some huge catches. When he has opportunities, he takes advantage of it, and I like Noah Gray. Do I think Noah Gray is going to be a Travis Kelsey? No, nobody's ever going to be a Travis Kelsey. That's something that Chiefs Kingdom is going to have to live with eventually, years down the road when Kelsey's getting near a retirement and stuff. You're not going to replace Travis Kelsey. You're just not going to do it. And look
Noah
what Julia said.
Noah Gray is the white Travis Kelsey. You know,
I
you're right,
agree.
Julia. At the risk of not
All
getting
right.
banned, Noah Gray is the whitest guy in the room when it's him and Travis Kelsey. I will say that. He does not dance as well as Travis Kelsey does. Steve, let's move on. Let's go ahead and get this picked. We are taking a
Yeah.
long
Okay.
time
So
in
that's
round
what we're looking
3.
at. Keyshawn, we just started round 3 actually, but Keyshawn Butte, a lot of people's talking about this guy lately. At one point, a couple years ago, he was considered the best wide receiver in college football, and he just kind of fell off a cliff there, Mike. I know you
Right.
like him. Parker Washington's also available. We saw where Matt Nagy went to Penn State's pro day just a few days back. He could have been checking out Parker Washington. He could have been checking out tight end Brenton Strange. What's the other? I always forget the other receiver's name, but there's
Yeah,
another one there
yeah,
that
there's
they were
another
looking
wide
at.
receiver that's pretty good. They also had Jair Brown, the safety. And I come up with the idea that maybe Nagy was there to get some 40 time on him, maybe check him out. Matt Nagy's been a head coach. He can evaluate talent, just doesn't have to be offensive talent. So maybe they threw that out, you know. I don't know. Let's go ahead and look. I don't think wide receiver here. We know Pops. If you guys have watched the show from the beginning, we've had Pops on last year doing some mock draft. Our dad, he is a mock draft wizard. He's been a Chief fan his entire life since back in the 60s. Yeah, this guy, he lives for the mock draft because the Chiefs never used to win Super Bowls until Patrick Mahomes got here.
Right.
And
It was
so
always about the draft.
so
Yeah.
his Super Bowl was April when we drafted. He is a mock draft connoisseur. He loves A.T. Perry. That's a guy that I've seen thrown out. He likes wide receiver A.T. Perry. Let's know in the comments if you guys have seen anything about A.T. Perry or what your guys' thoughts are on that. That would be pretty cool.
Right.
But
Mike
Steve, I
Smith
think
says K-State edge Felix. Man, I love Felix. Obviously, he's gone in this right here. He could be a first round target. Like I think he's that good. But
yeah, there's some
people
mixed
sleep on
opinions with him.
Felix. Well, everyone's like, oh, he's just average size, average speed, this and that. But man, Felix gets to the quarterback. He's a monster. I just love it. I think that he would be. I would not be upset with that pick. So, but yeah, A.T. Perry. If we're looking at wide receiver, if if we're looking at, there's another wide receiver actually on the board, and I'm going to talk about this for a
The
split second.
Sparks. The Sparks,
Look,
Steve. It's the Black Sunday Brothers. If you guys don't know, we used to be in a punk rock band named Black Sunday.
look
You
at that.
can't get the music on Spotify or anything anymore, but we actually played some Warped Tour. We played some shows. We're big musicians here. Steve bangs the drums. I played guitar and sang. It was wild. We spent about 10 years of our life doing that. So kind of a cool thing. Says the Sparks bringing up our punk rock past. Thanks,
Nice,
buddy.
very nice.
Yeah. So Steve, go ahead and get back into what you were saying here.
Yeah. So there's a sneaky little pick that I like at wide receiver that I don't know a lot of people do, and me and you've talked about. We talked about it yesterday. We laughed about. I love Charlie Jones from Purdue. Do I think he's a third round pick? No, probably not. But I think people are overlooking this dude. He is amazing. Like if you go watch his route running's tight. He's very fast. Good hands. Like I don't know. I love Charlie Jones. If anybody else has some weird obsession with Charlie Jones, put it down in the comments. But I think right here, man, there's no edges left. I was just giving it a look. Not saying there's none, but just at this point, none that I would want to take in the third round when I'm really looking at it.
Right.
What do you think?
Well,
You think we go ahead and take a stab at a wide receiver right here?
I think let's go ahead. Scott Crosser says that A.T. Perry is good. He likes him. Doug
A.T.
says
Perry's a
A.T.
push-off
Perry.
king, Omar says.
Yeah, right. Well, that means he might end up in Cincinnati.
Jamar Chase. Right.
But you know what? In honor of Pops and the people in the draft, let's go ahead and address the wide receiver. Let's take A.T. Perry here. Why not? I don't see any edges on the board that look that good, and I think we can draft him later on. Scott asks, "What do you think of Durham, the tight end from Purdue?" I kind of like Durham. We hang out with on live. We're going to do a live mock draft with Broshmo. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, please do so. He does amazing draft content. He ranks players. He does mock drafts all the time. He's a cool dude. He's going to be on the show with us in a few weeks doing a mock draft. Broshmo loves Durham. Last time I seen it, he had him in his top 10 tight end rankings. So that is some guys I think he's a potential starter in this league, Scott, to be honest. I don't think it's going to come right away, but around the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, somewhere in that range, I do see teams looking at Durham from Purdue. Purdue's head coach, he's actually back in Louisville now, back at his home. I forget his name off the top of my head. But yeah, he's back in Louisville, head coach at Louisville Cardinals right now, but he is really good. He's like an offensive genius. So not too bad with him. That's why Steve likes Charlie Jones. Charlie Jones is a beast at wide receiver. And even Aiden O'Connell's getting some looks probably late in the draft. Their quarterback there in Purdue. So, Steve, what do you got here? 4th round pick number 19.
If you just look at the big board,
pick number
best
20,
player available,
actually. Yeah, sorry.
Is Tyjae Spears, running back. I do think that we will draft a running back. I don't know when. It won't be early unless something magical like Bijan Robinson falls. I think if he fell to pick 31, I think Brett Veach and them would be like, it's way too much value. We have to do it. Granted, they would probably get so much backlash because of the Clyde crap, but I mean,
Right.
you couldn't argue with that if somebody like that's there. But other than that, I don't know when they'll take one. Probably mid to late. Tyjae Spears, I like this guy. I do like him. Kenny McIntosh, he's decent. Nothing spectacular to me. Dwayne McBride, that guy's a monster. Absolute monster.
Mr. Hunting 123. Do we start Sky Moore? Yeah, we start Sky Moore. I mean, you have to at this point. Andy Reid already said Sky Moore is going to have a big season this year. They plan on using him. Yes, Sky's starting. I mean, I don't think anybody wouldn't agree with that.
Guy's going to have a much bigger role than people think. I know they keep saying that. Like Andy's like, oh, Sky's got to step up and have a bigger role. He's got to take over Juju's role in the offense and stuff like that. I don't think that he's putting up a smokescreen. I think they're really going to expect Sky Moore to step in and do his thing.
Yeah, I do too. So, Steve, what do you want to take here? I'm going to let you make the pick here. This is going to be this is a day 3 pick. So I'm with Doug here. It's going to be a lot of running back and corners and all sorts of things flying off the board. Have we addressed everybody on the line? Have we addressed the defensive line properly? You've got Benton, and we have not taken a defensive end. So I think defensive end is where you probably have to go right here, in my opinion. Running back and stuff like that is just all going to play behind Pacheco. There's no point in taking them here. I don't see it. So I think you still got to fill holes at this point, and I think edge is where you probably got to start.
I don't like our edge options. I feel like we've kind of missed the boat, but we can take a look and see what we got here. KJ Henry's not bad. He'd actually be a decent pick at this juncture, probably this late in the draft. But we also have, let's see, who else did I see down here that I like? Okay. Man, Lonnie Phelps, they have him.
Yeah,
he's like a late pick.
Again, this is a cool option on Walk the Mock. They have their own draft rankings. You can also go in and do your own draft ranking. So you can use your own big board, which is pretty cool. We're in the process of setting that up. There's 300, 500 players in this draft. So it's taken forever. So we actually went with their rankings this time. In the future, we're probably going to go with our rankings. We're also going to have our big board available for you guys at some point. So you can kind of get your heads around what we're thinking the Chiefs are going to look at. Yeah, Steve, I don't know, man. It's looking like, is Yaya Diaby on the board? I know we like him.
I didn't see him. I do like Yaya, but I think he's gone, dude.
Scott Crosser actually says Yaya too right here. Yaya Diaby would be cool. Yeah, you also just have one of those things where
he's gone.
Okay, so he is gone. Let me see. It's KJ Henry. It's looking like, and this is their rankings. So not too sure he gets drafted here. KJ Henry is a guy that could go anywhere between round 4 and round 6. He does have a lot of injuries he deals with. I actually watched a video. He's online. If you go type in KJ Henry, you'll find him going to the chiropractor. He has chiropractic videos being popped online.
Man, okay, so Here's my thing. Like, yeah, we need an edge, but I mean, for the value that you're getting an edge here, do you have to take it? I mean, is KJ Henry that much different than somebody you're going to take in the
Is
next round or the
Do
next
they
round?
have Jeremiah Martin on their board? The kid out of Washington. Me and Ryan Tracy from RGR was talking about Jeremiah
Oh
Martin,
yeah,
defensive end. He's 6'4", 261. We were talking about him today. Um, he's out of Washington. They were just looking at his pro day. They probably have him ranked really low on here. I think I see him. He's like the third one down the board there.
390 or something
Right. So
crazy.
see,
Yeah,
that's wrong. That's wrong. This kid has got every bit of talent to be in the 4th, 5th, 6th round. So this is the time you could look at a Jeremiah Martin. I think that's a good pick here. Obviously, again, you can't trust all these draft rankings. These guys do the same thing we do. It's early in the draft season. They don't have everything panned out perfectly. But
right.
that's a
This is
guy
your pick.
that I would
This is
look
your
at.
pick. You're going to go ahead and take this pick, so we can get on with
Okay.
it.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and take Jeremiah Martin. I'm going to go ahead and take him. I want the defensive end right here. I
This
think that,
early?
yeah, why not? I'm not going to play the game of they've got him ranked low. We'll get him in the 6th round. I'm not doing that. Jeremiah Martin is every bit of a 4th, 5th round. He was the team captain at Washington. We've got a little Washington connection with Trent McDuffie. We were looking at their safety in the offseason, doing some interviews with their safety. So, yeah, the Chiefs routinely pick players this early in the draft that other people will not pick. I believe it's pretty good. Omar says Mike Morris, DT and defensive end edge. I do like Mike Morris as well. If he is on the board here, that's something we could double up with right here with Mike Morris, to be honest. That would be a heck of a 4th round if you spent your 4th rounders on some defensive ends. Julia now says, I think we might have to look at safety, but maybe not this draft. Yeah, I think you're right. I think we look at safety, but I don't know. I think Mike Edwards was a pretty good signing. He's a ball hawk. So, you know, if a good safety doesn't fall, we may not take him. You're
Right.
right.
Yeah.
You might not do it.
But
Scott says DJ Johnson from Oregon still there. I don't know. Steve can look that up for you. DJ Johnson from Oregon.
yeah,
I would assume he's probably off the board. If not, that's another pretty good pick.
their search function's a little crazy. DJ, yeah, he's still on the board. They have him actually ranked at 185 on their big board.
So, yeah, they got him ranked as a linebacker too. I'm pretty sure he does a little bit of both. I think he can come off the edge as well.
But here's where we're sitting. This would be what, our 4th round pick here?
It's our 2nd in the 4th round. We just took the defensive end. We've addressed wide receiver. We've addressed defensive tackle, and we've got an offensive tackle in Broderick Jones. That is a gift and a monster. If the NFL lets the Chiefs get Broderick Jones at 31, you guys are asking for a repeat. You're asking for it at this point, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, they were ridiculous last year. Our offensive line was so they were underrated amongst Chiefs Kingdom. Okay, let's put it that way. The rest of the world knew that we had a really great offensive line, but it's just like everybody hated Orlando Brown so much and always is looking for somebody to point the finger at, that they were just like, offensive line's letting up too many pressures. And it's like we kept telling everybody all season long, like, give them a minute to mesh and they're going to be good. They ended up being a top 5, top 3 offensive line in the league last year. And then now if you turn around and we have Jawan Taylor instead of OBJ now, which means a little bit better pass protection, not as good as run blocking. But if you were to get Broderick Martin, dude, I mean, if he doesn't just completely flop, your line's locked up. All right, let's look right here, man.
Broderick Jones, not Broderick
Jones. I'm sorry, I was looking at Broderick Martin.
Hey, Broderick Martin is somebody they brought in on a top 30 visit, though.
Right, he's a Western Kentucky. He's a Kentucky guy.
Steve, make this pick. This draft is taking longer than the actual draft, so
that's okay.
Let's go ahead and
we're
make
on
this
the clock.
Pick.
We're not running out of time yet. I'm taking running back Tyjae Spears right here. I like the value. I think that we need a running back that we're going to have to get. I'm still not sure what's going on with Jerick McKinnon. Like, we haven't re-signed him yet. I'm almost 100% positive he's coming back, but I don't know what's taking so long there. But either way, Rojo's gone. We need some young talent in there. I would like to see Jerry and Ely get a shot at making this team this year. I know he went on and off the practice squad over and over again. But I'm still going to go ahead and take Tyjae Spears right here. I like the value, so that's what we're doing.
Okay. Tyjae Spears, guys, is that a good pick? Let Steve know. I think it's pretty good value right here. I like Tyjae Spears. He's one of my favorite. He's one of my favorite running backs in the entire thing. If you look at next gen stats, Tyjae Spears, he's pretty good. Like, he's got a lot of really good next gen stats. An 87 value. He is actually the highest rated running back besides Bijan Robinson, according to NFL Network, when it comes to next gen stats with athleticism score. He actually scored higher than Jahmyr Gibbs, and I actually think Jahmyr Gibbs would be amazing in this offense. We're not going to take a running back that high. But yeah, I think Tyjae Spears is a good pick. So round 5, we're at pick 31. Steve, let's go to the board and let's look for players that some of our drafts calling out. Go look and see if Mike Morris is on the board. Is
Trey
Mike Morris on the
Palmer's still
board?
on the board. That's crazy. Who are
We're
we
not
looking
taking
at?
another
Sorry,
wide receiver. So let's go look
I
for
get
some
it.
players. Mike Morris. Is Mike Morris on the board? I love Mike Morris out of Michigan. I think he is a beast, defensive tackle, defensive end.
There's no Morris left in this draft.
So Mike Morris is not on the board. Sorry, Omar. That was a good one. Is DJ Johnson still here? Crosser had us looking at him in the last pick, but if he's still here, we'll snag him this pick. Why not? He could play a little linebacker. I still think we have some linebacker depth we can look into.
Yes,
He is on the
he
board.
is.
Let's go ahead and pull the trigger on DJ Johnson right here in round 5 for Scott Crosser. Scott, this pick is for you. We will take he can get after the quarterback too. DJ Johnson is a guy I like. Let me bring up some stuff on DJ Johnson while Steve is actually going down the list and finding out who our next pick is.
Dude, check this out. If you go to cornerback, like right now, Anthony Johnson from Virginia and Anthony Johnson Jr. from Iowa State. So this guy and his dad are both in the draft, bro.
Shut up. It's not
At
his
both
dad, bro.
cornerbacks. Both cornerbacks.
They're both
Good.
27 years old, by the way.
All right. So what are we looking at now? So we just addressed a linebacker. I think we've got our edge. We got a wide receiver, defensive line, offensive tackle. Okay, yeah. So we've pretty much covered a lot of what's going on here. Do we want to take a look at a safety and keep the theme of getting a little bit of everything? Do we want to double up somewhere? What do we think's important here, guys? Put it in the comments. And we're going to try to move along just a little quicker finishing this up because Mike does have somewhere to be. He's got to go to Nashville. So
yep, I'm going to be down in Nashville in just a few minutes.
Probably cut this one a little bit short. This is our first ever live stream, by the way, if you're just coming in. Never done it before. First time we're doing it. So we'll get better at it.
Steve, Omar asked, running backs are deep. Why draft him so high? They won't start over Pacheco anyway. I think we just kind of covered it. If Jerick McKinnon don't come back, also Jerick McKinnon is old. Jerick McKinnon has a lot of injury history. Besides Jerick McKinnon, Clyde's probably going to be shipped out after this year, possibly before the year even starts. We got Steve likes Jerry and Ely. He thinks he'll get in and play a little bit coming in and out of our practice squad. But I just think the value on Tyjae Spears is too much. His production in college is incredible. Yeah. His in the 4th round that late, that's essentially a 5th round pick. I don't think there's nothing wrong with Tyjae Spears there. I mean, of course, everybody's got different opinions.
That's where my head was at. My head was that if the value's too good, like we don't have to have it there. But I mean, man, why not? I mean, he's hanging out there. It's kind of like I said in the first round. Like we're not going to take a running back in the first round, but if Bijan Robinson's sitting on the board at 31, that becomes a different conversation. It's just a pure value pick.
Right. So Doug says to go safety here. It covers the bases. Doug says go safety. Scott Crosser also says, putting it out there, I think a late round safety or wide receiver that can return punts. I'm with you. I think this is maybe where we start looking at safeties or, double dipping on, say wide receiver or defensive line help. I think that's there. The Chiefs are a pretty solid team. Like I said, Veach went super cornerback heavy last year. So I think corners sit. If a corner that they absolutely love, say Cam Smith was to fall to him in the 2nd round, maybe they take something like that. I don't see them taking Cam Smith at 31. So bringing him in on a top 30 today, I think that's more of like a 2nd round kind of thing. They could be using Cam Smith to get info on another player in South Carolina. Like Brett Veach is playing chess out here, guys. He could have used an entire top 30 on Cam Smith so he could ask him about the defensive tackle that goes to, South Carolina, or some guy he played high school football with that we're looking at in the 7th round. Who knows? Steve, Jarek Reed, we brought him in as a top 30 visit. The safety out of New Mexico, he has a 7.16 RAS score, 5'10", 196, and they say he is a ball hawk. He's actually comped to Mike Evans. Is Jarek Reed on this board? He might not be, but that is a guy that we could look at. So, okay. So they don't have Jarek Reed on the board. I don't know where he would have went, but, yeah, I see safety, Daniel Scott, DeMarcus. I can't read this. It's too tiny for me, my man, but it's okay.
Angry Drunken German. He says Bijan is worth pick 31. Name a Hall of Fame quarterback and Pro Bowl halfback that didn't win a Super Bowl. Think about it. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you on that. I think Bijan's value is way too high. If he's sitting at 31 and the Chiefs don't take him, it's kind of one of them things where it's just like it leaves your head scratching. Like Mike mentioned earlier, the biggest head scratcher for me ever in the history was why in the world did we draft McCole Hardman Jr. and DK Metcalf is sitting on this board? Like it would kind of be the same kind of feeling. Like, did we just pass up somebody uh, that we was too obvious? Like, obviously we should have took them. I don't know. Maybe that's a possibility.
Right.
Julia, do y'all think this is the year Andy doesn't have a fullback? I
Yeah,
don't know.
I
I
kind of
think it could
do.
be.
We may
Did
bring
you
in an
see a
extra tight
guy?
end.
I can't think of his name, but RGR. They were actually talking about a fullback. They were pumping up one today. I was looking at. Apparently, he's like a Swiss Army knife or something. He also plays defensive end, can rush the quarterback, and all kinds of crazy stuff, like some crazy, you know, athlete. But I can't think of
Dude,
his name.
RGR, they know their stuff. We're gonna have Daniel Harms and we're gonna have Ryan Tracy on here doing some mock draft stuff here in the future. So they're both coming on. You guys look out for that one. Those guys know what they're talking about. We can't wait to run some stuff by them and just have a meeting of the minds here with All Chiefed Up and RGR. It's gonna be pretty cool. We all like to dive into this draft, but yeah, man, I don't know. I think I'm with you. I think safety. Let's go look for Steven. Steven's been in the comments for about this entire thing, and he says Bush from Cincinnati safety. See if he's on the board. If so, we will make the pick for Steven here. Why not? This is one of those things where you start getting late in the draft here in mocks. I
Arquan
mean,
Bush.
yeah, he's probably going to play safety. They got him listed as a corner. Hey, Veach likes doing this. These are guys that can play nickel. This is guys that they can be very versatile with. It's
Najee
very
Johnson was
well.
actually a safety when we
Right.
drafted him, and
So
we
it's
converted
very
him to corner.
possible. This could be a good pick. Why not? Let's take it for Steven. Steven's been here the whole time. We'll take his pick right here to move this thing along. Yeah, but getting back to what we've been talking about, I think Veach, we're at a position in Kansas City where he takes best player available. I don't think we really draft for need all that often unless we need it. Like last year, we needed corner, and boy, he went out and got corner. Again, this year, looking at it, I don't think wide receiver is going to be something he's going to go in and just pound the table on. I do not see that happening. This year could be the year of the defensive line, to be honest. If he addresses the defensive line the same way he addressed the corner position last year, we're going to be looking mighty good for the next few
Check
years.
this out. So here we are, 6th round. There's some decent players still on the board. Some names that were sticking out to me.
Thanks,
We
Steven.
actually brought in.
Appreciate you, buddy.
We
Appreciate you,
actually,
buddy.
yeah, thanks, man. We appreciate that. Anybody feels the need to support the channel, go for it. It just keeps us going. So, all that good stuff. We just pump it all back into what we can do as far as content and things like that. Carter Warren, offensive tackle. That's somebody that the Chiefs have looked at as well. Obviously, if they take Broderick Jones in the first, I don't know if they're going to be looking at tackle later, but also Juice Scruggs from Penn State. They actually have him ranked kind of low on Walk the Mock. He's still on the board here. You were talking about trying to beef up that offensive line in case we weren't able to sign back, Trey Smith or Joe Tooney later on or something like that. If you're looking at edge, Lonnie Phelps is still hanging out. I do like him. Big guy from Kansas people. Y'all love.
You
Lonnie
say big
Phelps.
guy. You say big guy. The dude's not very big. It's the figure of speech. The figure.
Look, he's my height and weight exactly. I'm a pretty big guy.
Yeah, but you're gonna get thrown
He's
around
6'3",
all over the football
245.
field, buddy.
I'm about 6'3", 240. Whatever. I'm so much more ripped than Lonnie is probably.
This
I'm just
guy,
kidding. I have
Steve
moves.
may actually get the call from Veach any day now. 1 year prove it deal.
Just have some back problems. Might.
Scott actually throws out Kenny Logan from Kansas, safety, kick returner. Steve can look up and see if Kenny Logan's on there. Kenny Logan is not bad, to be honest. I haven't got to dig into his film as much as I want to. Let me see if I can. Let me see if Kenny Logan. Yeah, they're not even showing him under next gen stats either, so they don't have any stats on him next gen. I'm going to dig into more of his stuff though. I'm going to make a note of that right now, and I want to dig into Kenny Logan. That's been a name I've seen.
He's not on the board. So what do we want to target here? We pretty much took one of each position in football. No, I'm just kidding. But we have spread it out really good. So at this
I
point,
like Carter Warren, Broderick Martin, either one of those two, beefing up the defensive interior. Naughty back on a 1-year deal. Broderick Martin can come in and play that. I love it. We had him in for a top
I
30.
took it.
I
I
love
just
it.
snaked that right out from under all you guys. I just took Broderick Martin. I
Yeah,
like
look at
that too. I
Steve.
think we got to beef up that defensive line. Yell at me in the comments if you think I shouldn't be sneaking the pick like that, but I had
Steve
to.
sneaked it. He
Uh,
sneaked it.
well, you brought it up, and it just makes
It
sense.
does
It
make
just really
sense.
does. And they've
Well,
already talked to the guy. So
yeah. Okay. So
the
we got
Chiefs have
back-to-back picks.
Chiefs are creatures of habit, and a lot of times the players that they've interviewed are the guys that they end up targeting in the draft. So I think people need to keep that in mind. That's something me and Mike talked about offline the other day. If they've talked to them, they've interviewed them, there's a good chance that they're looking at them, because that's kind of how it went last year. So,
Right. Later, Doug.
all
Thanks
right,
for coming in, dude. We're gonna do a lot more of these, man. This is our first one ever. First ever
yes,
live mock
sir.
draft, first ever live stream. Yeah, so you guys are seeing us in our rawest form. Hopefully we get a lot better, more entertaining. But if you guys enjoyed it, go ahead and click the like though. Let us know. Helps the algorithm, helps kick us out there, man. We love doing Chiefs content. This is what we live for. So yeah, just anything you can do to help us out, it's free to hit that like button. And we'll keep doing these, but we got 2 more picks here in the 7th round, Steve. It doesn't really matter who we pick. This is a shot in the dark, big time. Of mock drafts are shots in the dark, anyways. And when you start getting to
Absolutely.
the 300th pick
You know,
in the draft, who knows?
this has been an interesting one, I have to say. This is the first time I've done Walk the Mocks rankings, so it's felt a lot different than any of the other ones I've done. So there's just different names. Like this is the most odd one I've done yet, to be honest. So, yeah, let's go ahead and whoever wants to make the pick, man, just throw a name out there. The next one I see, that's who we're picking for the 7th round.
So,
And
yeah, who
then
wants to pick here in the 7th round? Somebody throw out. Somebody said TJ Bass. Is he on the board? Steven says TJ Bass. Scott says an extra
yes, sir.
offensive tackle for the practice squad. So let's pull in TJ Bass, interior offensive lineman. He is a Swiss Army knife. This guy can play just about anything. And on the next pick, Scott says maybe an extra offensive tackle. So why not? Let's just go to offensive tackles and have a gander. If Carter Warren's still on the board, that would be pretty cool.
He's
I
gone.
would say he's
I
not.
looked.
Okay. Let's finish this bad boy off with
Luke Haggard from Indiana. They have him super low on here.
Yep, he is
Not a
kind of
bad
low
pick.
there. I kind of like Pops. Let's do a pick for Pops. Pops likes SOW. I don't know if he pronounced it so or Sal. He likes him. Let's take a pick for Pops. Pour one out for our homies that couldn't be here today. Pops, he's at home. I don't know what he's doing. He might be watching. He might be one of these 27 people watching. But we'll take Sydney so for him. Steve, click the great. Oh, we got a great mock. We got Doc from Back to the Future. Let's have a gander at these really quick and wrap this bad boy up. You guys let us know what you think about this mock draft. Do you like seeing this? Do you want to see more? And also, what do you think about our draft? We're getting ready to wrap it up for you. What would you guys grade this draft? I'm going to put our draft grade in the bottom. I think we got this.
Man.
I think
We got Broderick Jones in the 1st round. It's going to be hard to hate this draft.
Right. We got an A, baby.
We took Keanu Benton in the 2nd round, A.T. Perry, wide receiver in the 3rd round, Jeremiah Martin, edge rusher in the 4th, Tyjae Spears, running back in the 4th, DJ Johnson, linebacker in the 5th round. And then in the 6th round, we took Arquan Bush, cornerback from Cincinnati, and Broderick Martin, the defensive tackle from Western Kentucky. And in the last round, we took TJ Bass, inside offensive lineman from Oregon, and Sidey So, offensive tackle from Eastern Michigan for Pops. Yeah, throw those grades down there. I see a couple A's. I see some A. One of them's us though. I don't count.
It's me. I'm the A, and I actually went a little low. I'm gonna go ahead and pop in the plus sign, and I think we get A plus. Anytime you can get Broderick Jones to fall to 31, you won the draft right there. You won the draft. Mahomes is protected. He's now got enough time to sit back there and have a 5-course dinner. And he's going to pick. Who cares who our wide receivers are at that point? Andy Reid could run routes if Broderick Jones is our other tackle. But yeah, Steve, this has been real. We're going to have to jump off here. You guys let us know what you thought about it. We're going to be back with much more of this content. Even if you hated this, we're still going to do it because we like to do it. So yeah, Steve,
We do a lot of live streams.
Right.
I mean, it won't always be mock drafts. It's just that time of the year, so it's just something fun to do.
We're gonna have Bro Schmo coming up. We're gonna have Daniel Harms RGR. We're gonna have Ryan Tracy RGR. We're actually reaching out to a lot of other people. We got Lance from the Spoken's gonna come on and do some draft stuff. So yeah, we'll be back with a lot more of this. We'll do other live streams where we just get on here and talk with you guys. So yeah. I appreciate you guys tuning in and interacting with us. It's been really fun. This has been a great first experience. We didn't think the first live stream was even going to have anybody here, to be honest, because that's a tough thing to do. But yeah, we appreciate it. Steve, you got anything before we give this thing a go?
I don't. I just have Steve and Bill. Good job picking those picks last year. Saw that in the comments. And Jeffrey Finken, he says we get an A+. So I think we're going to end on that right there. A+ on this first mock draft here. Guys, pay attention to our YouTube page, obviously over in the community tab, or follow us on Twitter at allchiefdup. We are going to be posting our draft ranking soon and our first Chiefs mock, just 1.0, who we think the Chiefs are going to draft. It'll be our first version of that. We're going to release that this week. But we appreciate you guys being here. And we'll be back for a lot more. So just stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll be back. We'll see you guys. Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.